Welcome to part 2, Escaping the Nightmare. The easiest form, the healthiest host body, is that of a fresh human who has not been brought into the industry, but is merely an innocent bystander. This will sound strange, but they have designed tiny computer chips that can relocate the consciousness of the original individual into the brain of the host body, and over a period of time literally erase the individuality of the host and resume the life of the parasitic consciousness of the wealthy or elite now in the fresh young host body. Sometimes the original will remain with a slight awareness of what has taken place, but without the strength to overpower the And now even the middle class and the poor, just to stay alive, tag it. Supercomputer systems that act as a continuous server relays to enable the parasitic consciousness to live within the host. This is often covered in movies and media, and these people are often hosts themselves, and this is simultaneously a way to release the truth, as well as give themselves the green light through a spiritual law, which is dependent on the acknowledgement and acceptance of the ideas, just the concepts that are displayed in movies. Okay, you guys, seriously. Now, like I've confessed and witnessed to you, I'm in this up to here, right? And I did grow up in a very dark environment, and I did have a mom that was programmed to terminate my existence, okay? A lot of things did happen in the TV, and my gram was the only happiness or laughter I had. Of course, my dad was working, and my mom was doing her thing, and, having my brother, James Dean, right? True story. So, anyhow, the first way I knew about the virus that he's speaking about is the black and white version of the Stepford Wives. And of course, it was a perfect utopia town. Everybody was happy. They looked like $1 million. Their women didn't bitch about nothing. They had enough energy to love them after taking care of the house and the kids and the grocery shopping. I mean, it was like utopia, right? But anyhow, see, the women went and got these little adjustments. They came for him in the middle of the night, gave him a little shot in the neck, and they came back behaving like a whole new person. Okay, so you get it. That now, let's go to reality. I'm one of those people, like say tomorrow, we're going to be doing this holistic, crystal festival, and I'll be going out there with castor oil packs. You better believe it. And the information on it. And, it wasn't even 100 years ago, for real, that people knew they had to ingest a little bit of castor oil or work with some wormwood or do something to get rid of intestinal parasites and worms. But you see, when we became civilized, and had indoor plumbing, our human organisms somehow were cosmically cleansed, and we didn't any longer have worms or parasites. And I know this is a crock of crap because I've done a 3-month colon cleanse, and I've passed liver flukes, and I've seen these things. And I don't know if you've seen, but like in the Dasani water bottles, they'll turn you on to clear ones, little worms. And in the 50s, the women with the tiny waist, they ate pinworms, man. This is a well-accepted, known truth down through history, okay? They gotta come out one way or the other. One way's out the rectum, and the other is up the esophagus and out the mouth. Neither option is really good. And of course, I have pictures and first edition books from physicians' reference libraries that show these pictures. if anyone doubts that information, in my library. You know, the other thing I want to bring up, I think that it's much harder on the people that had easy childhoods, because now as they're older and they're seeing the world that they love be ripped away from them slowly, as well as their health and their well-being and all of these things, you see, that's what's taken those people over. That's what people don't get about this. And with the nanobot technology and, you know, the little Morgellons story and the spraying, you see, everybody's infested. So it's not like a greater than thou thing to say, oh, well, you know, you've got these and I don't. And recently, you know, I was watching Randy and CW's show, and they were very nice, and it was strictly for entertainment purposes only, but there was something that was said that was very serious. And CW mentioned, and of course he didn't use the name of the person, but that somebody's out there and can see the worms and parasites on people when they're remote viewing. So, I know about these things. I've brought them out of myself, I've documented it, and I've burned it in the fireplace and said a prayer that all of these things would be loosened off of humanity in general. So you gotta realize the magnitude of the infection. I'm sorry, but we're all dirty birds, and see, you know, hey, we've been told forever it's our fault and we're sinful. And there's another story out there floating around that we were tampered with first, and I think y'all need to check that story out deeply at a profound level, and then you forgive yourself, and you stand up and you figure out who you are, because you're capable of great things. And we need people at this time to be all that in a bag of chips, right? All right. In other words, they secretly agree that these movies are hidden releases, documentaries, full disclosures of what is taking place. They allow people to believe they are simply fantasy and use the way of reasoning that they are cleared to do whatever they want as long as the public does not respond in an outcry. This to them is considered spiritual law of free will. This means that if people reject the system, they will stop. If they don't stop, this means that they welcome intervention from above. There are others, but this is a difficult subject because there is also an agenda to introduce their own others, which are a combination of this technological assimilation and hosting of parasitic consciousness and genetic hybridization experiments that resulted in developed life forms that are humanoid in appearance, yet subhuman in nature. These entities cannot incorporate a soul essence, and as such, they are incapable of sustaining themselves in this realm without the consumption of human essences. This is the hormonal secretions, the blood, organs, and glandular tissue of the young humans.
Ugh.
This process is mimicked by various elite to both pledge allegiance to the dark process of spiritual degradation and to incorporate life extension properties of the consumption of particular hormonal secretions and blood types that suit their particular genetic background. So, y'all might know your buddy Suze, the holistic stylist, talks about blood type extensively. And I'm not going to put the one out there, oh no, negative, I wouldn't do that, right? That, see, some of them are hemophiliacs. And so we're not ragging anybody.
Check out the book, Live Right for Your Blood Type, by Dr. James D. D'Adamo. It's just a system of counting poisons to stay healthy. I mean, it's very intelligent.
Like real healthy looking, like, say, the Queen or Charles, or you get what I'm saying? And so down through time, documented in books that I have in my library, see, those people need special diets and blood transfusions. Read it and weep, guys. Where you think the homeless people are going. And I promise you, when they grab people up, the first daggum thing they're doing is typing them to see whose organs can go where and who fits what agenda and who they'll abuse for a while before they scrap them. There's no way to win. It's not like somebody can roll over and kiss their ass and get through this. Just like in the movies when your time's up. There's some people that say, blow me sideways. I'm not telling you what you want to know, because either way it goes, you're going to shoot me in the head. And maybe I got a karate chop plan that you don't know about. And oh yeah, good always wins in the movies, if you think about it. Something good comes out even the worst movies. All right. Yeah, if the public doesn't respond. Okay. No, I read all that. Okay. These are the secret societies, and they are all corrupted and will be uncovered before this process has completed itself, and this humanity and civilization is liberated and participates in their liberation through the open rejection of this defilement. They do not have rights to exist here in this way, whatever the human collective desire is and will be. This is why there is such a push to mentally degrade the human, because then, if the majority desires the destruction, then such destruction is not an oppression of their free will. It is not considered an act of war, but a meeting of a contractual agreement. Hey, isn't that civilized? That's nice. Everything is carried out in a militaristic faction. These entities, the created, hybridized beings, belong to an underground military that has been hidden from humanity in this run of civilization. The final rung.
This is 2 years ago, but today begins day one of the impeachment hearings. So tag it. They all got the same bed bugs, aka mind virus, and they're calling each other out. But remember, even in the all, you'll find excellent people that are not of the norm, that are ones saving and bringing together and uniting, not destroying. It all matters for each and every one of these souls to do their job.
And that was an early attempt to release this information to the public, which was covered up and diluted to distract the population away from their mental, spiritual self-preservation through free will, knowledge, compassion, self-awareness, truth, and creativity. Right. These projects all involve the traumatization of the consciousness of the individual to fracture the mind and introduced compartmentalized alters that are also shocked and horrified that out of a biological preservation response, the brain automatically nullifies any personal acknowledgement and invests false persons to take on the role of the self that is forced to acknowledge the memories and the ritualistic programming, which is activated via handlers, control triggers, and guided recall. This was initially used for espionage and assassinations, leading back to the Thuggee cult who would murder and sacrifice their victim to Kali, strangling them, slitting their eyes, tongues, and throats, poisoning them and drowning them in wells, or dismembering them. These cults, many various cults like these, operate through the ritual sacrifice of human life to their personal, yet collective, egregore, or thought form, mental creation that is
Tag the
given
clocks on
life
YouTube.
through the suffering
cults.
and torment of the
Cults.
innocent, which is considered the purest and most powerful. That's why everybody wants the virgin. See, we go back to simple, tiny little things. And you know, I have a story that I'm going to tell a long version of separately. But people want to know how come I can love if I had a mom that couldn't love me and then I turn out to have children that choose not to love me. One child that chooses not to love me out of 3. I guess that's not bad, like Meatloaf would say.
Now.
But
This was a long time ago.
I got too deep. See, it is tough to talk about, it really is. Okay, I got it. So, you know, I'm into life charting, Rudolf Steiner, and before the age of 7, see, that's why they really want to mess up your world heavy duty, because if they can fragment you and create these altars, see, here's another reason why people that call themselves Christian find themselves sinful. They think they've created an altar, interesting, to their God. Very, very, very profound around the midnight hour. But you get what I'm saying, okay? So, in the end, I really believe that people like my friend Og and myself and other people I know really had the hard childhoods we had, because that's what makes this time as easy as what people believe that we feel that it is. See, because here's what has to happen. If they've been looshing off your emotions, and your energetic currency and your soul is way more valuable than your green dollar, and they really got your pure essence in this box at the edge of the universe, and, you know, we're coming back home to meet something, and there's a battle for us. They didn't want us to crack at this hour, so let's not look at it as all negative, like, you know, everybody's always picking on me. It was kind of like exercising through the course of your whole life. I mean, it keeps you ready when the hour comes. The largest cult operates openly in every city and every jurisdiction of the world, and has done so for thousands of years. These processes began because this first cult began to utilize the commercialization of ritual mind trauma control and sacrifice to appease their desire for power. All others come forth from this harlot. This mind-fracturing process has now been brought to every living being on Earth through the incorporation of scalar weaponry, which is literally the psychotronic warfare systems of the ancient battle of heaven and earth. These are beam weaponry systems, also known as directed energy weapons, DEW systems, which are capable of utilizing the trinary electrical, magnetic, and scalar energy that Nikola Tesla discovered was capable of altering a person's mentality and even biological state, introducing immunity, disease, decay, or enhancement. These systems are active in all areas through the copious amounts of electromagnetic pollution from cell towers and internet and television systems. All of these systems are capable of interacting with the human mind and body on a spiritual level, which is simply a level of energy more refined than the biological chemical interactions that express neurological change in consciousness. These systems interact with an energetic form that is also called the biomind, and is a synonym for what has been referred to as the soul throughout the ages of humanity. This technology was procured through an operation titled the Hidden Papers, also known as the Tesla Papers. Tesla discovered technology, the same technology which was found and destroyed by the corrupt associations of archaeological discovery, museums, reporting, and those industry fields of science and research regarding ancient artifacts and civilizations. This technology acknowledges the connection between the magnetic field of Earth, the magnetic field of the heart and mind. The heart produces a powerful bioemission field extending out several feet from the body, and this is constantly exchanging information with the environment and others in one's own surroundings. Everything is alive to the heart, and the scalar emission fields that can be produced by conductive materials organized in the proper and is a kind of special living symmetrical geometric pattern, lasagna, and all the cool colors and geometric patterns. And different people are bringing their information different ways. So what I should say before I leave these two paragraphs too, for anybody that hasn't heard it once or twice, I'm the girl that 3 days in to being online, typing and talking to y'all on Facebook, that the phenomena came, and exactly what was said in these two paragraphs via phenomena where there was an interactive exchange, which I have documented and witnessed to and spoke about. See, these bioemissions, you got Heart Math Institute. So in the beginning, when they came online and showed me my Akasha and said, look, Suze, you already done enough. If you don't want to do nothing else, you don't have to. But if you want to. And so I did. I signed up for all of this. And see, it doesn't matter if nobody knows me or if somebody doesn't want me to speak up. Every time I do, it creates reality. And, you know, if a simple girl like me can do it, anybody can. So, you know, I'll cheerlead you on, because you're going to have to do it anyhow, one way or another. So find somebody you can vibrate with and get some information on this stuff, because it's really cool. You can also check out Dan Winter's work, and like I was saying, Heart Math Institute, they totally turned me on to this information. It is what it is. And my buddy Crichton Miller too, with the Celtic Cross. Alright. And you know, that's the most accurate way to find home and to find north, whether you're talking about here on Earth and you're looking up into the cosmos, or whether the poles shift and we lose magnetic north, because no compass is going to work for you then. And how can we go home if we don't know where we're from, or we don't know who we are? And that's why these deep messages, man. Okay. So, let me show you
what the Celtic cross looks like. And I made a necklace tree out of mine, but you see, this one's concrete, like a statuary. And I put that piece of driftwood, or whatever you want to call it, and hung necklaces from it. You know, I refine my technique as I go. I do want to make a couple comments, and like I said, when they say about 2 years ago, well, what does that mean? Let me find something to focus on for you guys. Okay. Well, the other two things I wanted to touch on was Heart Math Institute and Dan Winter. So, I guess it was about a year and a half ago. You know, somebody started spinning a tale and spreading it around YouTube. I have no idea what they're talking about, but that he stole something from somebody. And isn't that always the story in this tale? Instead of people just sharing the realization that they build on one another's ideas. And it's pretty obvious that if you give credit to everybody, then everything's okay, but for some reason nobody ever does that because the history is manipulated. Okay. So then, the other thing is Heart Math Institute. And like I said, this was a couple years ago that they really changed formats, which isn't a bad thing at all. I'm not saying that. It's just when it started, it was a little more geared or appealing to people that thought themselves awake, aware, spiritual, trying to find truth, whatever. It then did an about face and really just started focusing on the military, which is fine because they need help, you know, dealing with all their trauma for real. So I'm not sure in the beginning if people didn't have different roles, and then as our relationship, you know, I don't stick around and watch somebody for years. I get the information, I do it in great detail at my own pace, which is way too fast for anybody to really want to believe. It's about multitasking. We'll talk about that another day. But, you know, that's why people like to cut people down online and say, you realize that they're full of it. Well, they were only listening at a certain time, and like my people know, my story does not change. Where if you watch other people, or even people that disappear their old stories, their story's always changing. 1 minute they're friends, 1 minute they're lovers, 1 minute they're enemies. And that drives me, it gets on my last nerve. Alright. I'm not gonna finish playing whatever's left on this video. I'll review it and decide if we're gonna make a part 3. I'm just glad to have it. So with that, y'all have a blessed day and existence.